The bell had just rung for second period when Malik Johnson felt it, the icy stare, the heavy footsteps behind his wheelchair, the silence before the storm. He tried to move faster down the hallway, but his arms were tired today. The wheels squeaked slightly as he pushed. His heart beat fast in his chest. He didn't turn around. He didn't have to. He already knew who it was. "Hey, Wheels," came a voice sharp like broken glass. "You trying to race or something?" Malik kept going. If he answered, it would only get worse. "Yo, Ryan," another voice laughed. "I think Malik's ignoring you again." Suddenly, something smacked into the back of his chair, a crumpled juice box. It splattered. Sticky drops ran down the side of his seat. He stopped. His throat tightened. His hands shook on the rims of his wheels. He turned slowly. Chad, Ryan, and Zach stood behind him. All three wore grins that didn't reach their eyes. Chad leaned close, his face inches from Malik's. "You think you're too good for us now?" Chad whispered. "Just 'cause you get to ride all day?" Ryan shoved his shoulder. "You ain't a king, Malik. You're just a broken toy." Zach snorted. "More like a busted shopping cart." The hallway echoed with their laughter. Students passed by. Some looked away. A few glanced over and quickly kept walking. Malik wanted to disappear. He wanted to scream. But all he did was blink back tears and roll away. It hadn't always been like this. Once he was just a regular kid. Malik used to race down this same hallway, legs pumping, backpack bouncing. He loved gym class, video games, and riding his bike with Imani, his big sister. But that was before the accident. He remembered the sound, metal crashing, glass shattering. He remembered his mom's scream and the strange quiet that followed. When he woke up, the doctors told him he'd never walk again. They said it kindly, like they were giving him a choice to be brave. He tried to be. But being brave was harder at school. His best friends stopped texting. Teachers talked to him like he was 5. People smiled fake smiles that didn't reach their eyes. Then came Chad, Ryan, and Zach. At first, they only said things. "Watch out, Malik might run you over." "Yo, bet he's got rocket boosters on that chair." It was bad, but not the worst. Then they started messing with his chair. Hiding his backpack. Kicking his wheels. Putting gum on the handles. One time, Zach stuck a note on his back that read, "Do not feed the crippled." Malik found it in the mirror after third period. Ms. Devlin, his math teacher, saw the note. Her eyes flickered. She said nothing. That night, Malik sat in his room, staring at the ceiling. Imani knocked on the door. "You okay, Lee?" she asked gently. Only she called him Lee. He wiped his eyes before answering. "I'm fine." She stepped inside anyway. "You sure? I heard what happened with your chair." Malik shrugged. "It's not a big deal." Imani knelt beside him. Her face was soft, but her eyes were fire. "Tell me who did it." He shook his head. "Don't. I can handle it." "Malik, you're 12. You don't have to handle this alone." "I don't want you to get in trouble," he whispered. "You always fight. You'll do something crazy." Imani looked away. Her fists clenched at her sides. "I just hate watching them hurt you." "They'll stop. One day." Imani didn't answer. She just sat beside him and they watched the stars outside the window. But they didn't stop. The next day, it got worse. In the lunchroom, Zach accidentally spilled milk in Malik's lap. He laughed so hard his tray fell. Malik's face turned red. Kids at the nearby table pointed. One of them took a video. Later, Malik wheeled himself into the bathroom and cried. He didn't tell anyone. Not his mom. Not even Imani. He tried to stay quiet, stay invisible. He thought maybe the bullies would get bored. But they didn't. They enjoyed it too much. Every day became a new way to make him small. Then came Friday. It was raining. Malik's wheels slid on the wet floor as he tried to leave class early. Ms. Devlin barely noticed. She was busy typing on her laptop. He rounded the corner by the lockers. The hallway was empty. Or so he thought. Zach appeared first, leaning against a locker with his hands in his pockets. "Where you headed, Speedy?" Before Malik could turn around, Chad and Ryan were there too. Malik's heart jumped. Chad stepped forward. "You think you're better than us? Just roll around and act like the world owes you something." Malik tried to speak, but no words came out. Ryan kicked the side of his wheelchair. "Bet you like the attention. Crybaby." Chad suddenly grabbed the handles of Malik's chair and spun him hard. Malik yelped as the chair turned too fast, too sharp. His wheels slid. He tipped sideways. He hit the floor with a loud crash. Pain shot through his shoulder. His cheek scraped the ground. The chair clattered beside him. He felt like the wind had been knocked out of his soul. The boys laughed. Zach pulled out his phone. "Say cheese, Malik." Malik couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. His face burned with shame. His vision blurred. And then everything stopped. A voice cut through the air like thunder. Pick that up. The boys turned. Imani stood at the end of the hallway. She wasn't smiling. She walked slowly like a storm gathering strength. Her fists were clenched. Her hoodie was soaked. Rain dripped from her braids. Chad tried to joke. Yo, look who it is. The big sister. Yeah, Ryan snorted. Gonna call mommy? Imani didn't answer. She walked past them, knelt beside Malik, and gently helped him sit up. She checked his face, his hands. Are you okay? She asked. He nodded. Then she stood. The boys were still laughing. What are you gonna do, huh? Zach challenged. Imani's face didn't change. She moved fast. Faster than any of them expected. Her punch landed square in Zach's stomach. He gasped and dropped his phone. She turned, ducked Ryan's swing, and swept his leg out from under him. He crashed onto the floor, crying out. Chad backed away, wide-eyed. Imani pointed at him. Touch my brother again and you'll be next. Teachers came running. Whistles blew. Someone screamed. Imani stood tall, breathing hard. Malik sat on the floor, staring up at her with wide eyes. She didn't look scared. She looked like justice. An hour later, their mother sat in the principal's office, her face tight with worry. Malik sat beside her, bruised but quiet. Imani was across from Principal Hartley, who looked tired and angry. Your daughter assaulted 3 students, he said. They were bullying my son, their mother replied. There are procedures. We can't have violence. Imani's eyes didn't blink. So it's okay if they throw him down, but not okay if someone defends him? That's not what I'm saying. It's what you're doing. Hartley folded his hands. Imani is expelled. Their mother gasped. Expelled. There will be a hearing, but the damage is done. What about the boys who hurt Malik? She asked. We're handling it, he said. Malik knew what that meant. Nothing would change. When they got home, Imani went straight to her room. Malik followed her. You didn't have to do that, he said softly. She looked at him. Yes, I did. He sat beside her. They're gonna get away with it. No, Imani said. Not this time. She picked up her phone. What are you doing? Posting the truth. She uploaded the hallway footage someone had sent her. She added their story. What Malik went through. What the school ignored. What the bullies did. The post exploded. In minutes, comments flooded in. Support, anger, shock. People shared it. Reposted it. Teachers, parents, even local news pages started tagging the school. Malik stared at the screen. His story was no longer invisible. Neither was he. He looked at his sister, eyes wide. What now? Imani's voice was calm but fierce. Now we fight. Malik woke up the next morning to a buzzing phone and a buzzing heart. His post had gone viral. More than 50,000 people had shared it. Strangers were sending kind messages. Some told their own stories about bullying and being ignored. Others were angry, asking why the school hadn't protected him. A few even said they'd seen the same bullies pick on other kids before. Imani's face was calm as she scrolled. They're watching now, she said. Malik wasn't sure what to feel. Happy? Nervous? Both? At school, everything felt strange. He wasn't invisible anymore. As he wheeled into the building, students stopped talking. Some looked at him with wide eyes. Others gave him soft smiles. A girl from his English class even whispered, I saw your video. You're brave. He didn't feel brave. He still felt the pain from the fall. He still felt afraid. At lunch, he sat alone like always until 2 kids from the robotics club asked if they could sit with him. He nodded. They talked about how messed up everything was. One of them, Theo, even showed him a video he'd recorded weeks ago of Ryan calling Malik a trash chair. You should post this too, Theo said. Malik hesitated. Won't I get in more trouble? Imani had already been expelled. Their mom was worried sick. She tried to smile for them, but Malik could see the tired lines under her eyes. Posting more felt like pushing their luck. But Malik also remembered the look on Zach's face as he stood over him, laughing. So he uploaded Theo's video. It got even more attention. That night, their mom called a family meeting. They sat on the couch, phones buzzing, TV turned low. I just want you both to be safe, she said, voice tight with worry. I'm sorry, Imani said, but I'm not going to let this die down. Their mom looked at Malik. And you? Malik swallowed. His stomach twisted. But he nodded. I don't want to hide anymore. Their mom took a deep breath and nodded. Then we're doing this together. The next day, news vans parked outside the school. Reporters waited near the gates. Students filmed them on their phones. Principal Hartley stood near the entrance with 2 security guards. His jaw was tight, his voice sharp as he spoke to the cameras. We are looking into the matter seriously. Violence is never the answer. Inside, things were changing, but not how Malik had hoped. Ms. Devlin gave him a long, uncomfortable stare during math. Then she handed out a worksheet and didn't call on him once, even though his hand was up. Other teachers seemed nervous. The vice principal pulled Malik out of class and asked strange questions like, "Do you feel safe here? And is this really about bullying or something else?" Malik didn't know how to answer. Why were they acting like he was the problem? Later that week, he was called into the front office. Chad, Zach, and Ryan were already there. Their faces were pale. Zach looked like he hadn't slept. Ryan had a bandage on his wrist. They didn't look like bullies. They looked like scared kids. Principal Hartley sat behind his desk. I understand your sister used physical force against these boys. Is that true? Malik nodded. She was protecting me, he added quickly. Violence is still violence, Hartley said. But there's been interest in your case. News attention. Online anger. So we're offering a compromise. Malik blinked. What kind of compromise? You take down the videos. Your sister apologizes. We'll forget the expulsion. The boys will get community service. No one's record gets hurt. Malik stared at him. Zach looked hopeful. Ryan nodded eagerly. Even Chad managed to smile. But Malik felt cold. No, he said quietly. Hartley frowned. I'm giving you a chance to make this go away. Malik's voice trembled but stayed strong. You want it to go away so you don't look bad. Hartley stood. You're making a mistake. Malik turned and wheeled out of the office. He texted Imani everything that happened. That night, they went live on social media together. Imani sat beside Malik on the bed. She wore a hoodie. Malik wore a t-shirt that said, "Stand strong." Imani spoke first. The school tried to make us shut up. They offered fake kindness to cover the truth. Then Malik took a deep breath and said, I'm not doing this for revenge. I'm doing it because nobody helped me. I want to help the next kid who's scared like I was. The live stream had over 100,000 views by the time they finished. The next morning, they were on the local news. Then national. Journalists called. Activists reached out. Parents at the school formed a petition to fire Principal Hartley. A disability rights lawyer named Ms. Santos offered to help them for free. She's tough, Imani said after their first Zoom call. She used to sue schools like this all the time. Ms. Santos filed a complaint with the Department of Education. She began preparing a lawsuit against the school district for failing to protect Malik and for punishing Imani unfairly. The school board scrambled. A letter went out to parents saying they were reviewing policies. Malik's videos kept spreading. He got messages from kids all over the world, some in wheelchairs like him, others just scared and hurting. Some told him his story gave them courage. Some asked how to speak up too. He saved every message. But not everyone was supportive. Anonymous accounts sent mean comments. Stop playing victim. Your sister is violent. You're just looking for fame. Even some parents in the neighborhood whispered behind their backs. I heard the girl broke that boy's nose. They're trying to ruin the school. One afternoon, someone spray-painted liars on their front fence. Their mom cried that night. Malik stayed up and watched the stars again. He remembered the old Malik. The one who used to run. The one who used to smile without thinking. Then he looked at the new Malik and realized this Malik was stronger. At school, the air felt heavy. The bullies stayed quiet now. They looked down when Malik passed. Other students gave him space, but he could feel the tension. A few teachers still acted cold. Then one day, Ms. Devlin pulled him aside. I'm sorry, she said. Malik looked up surprised. I should have spoken up. I didn't. That was wrong. He didn't know what to say. So he nodded. Small changes started happening. The school created a new student protection program. A counselor was hired for kids who had been bullied or harassed. And finally, Imani was called back in. The hearing was quiet. The room smelled like old paper and lemon cleaner. The superintendent sat at the head of the table. Malik sat beside Imani. Ms. Santos represented them both. Imani was asked to explain what happened. She didn't cry. She didn't yell. She told the truth. And at the end, the superintendent leaned forward and said, "Your expulsion is canceled. Your record will be cleared. We owe you an apology." Imani looked stunned. Malik grabbed her hand. Outside the room, she finally smiled. But their fight wasn't over. The lawsuit moved forward. Miss Santos said, "We're not just asking for money. We want change. Real change." The school district offered a settlement. They would pay for counseling services, training for staff, and a new disability inclusion program in all their schools. They would also donate funds to a local center that helped kids with disabilities. And they would release a public apology. Imani looked at Malik. Malik looked at her. They nodded. But they had one condition: the bullies had to face consequences too. The district agreed to disciplinary hearings. Zach, Chad, and Ryan were suspended and placed in an intervention program. If they hurt anyone again, they'd be expelled. Some people said the punishment was too soft. But Malik didn't want revenge. He wanted peace. On the last day of the school year, Malik gave a speech at the school assembly. His hands trembled as he held the microphone. "Some people see a wheelchair and think I'm weak," he said. "But I've never been stronger. Not because I fought alone, but because I spoke up. And because people finally listened." The auditorium was silent. Then clapping. Louder. Louder. A standing ovation. Imani stood in the back, her eyes shining. Malik rolled off stage and went straight to her. "You were amazing," she said. "I was scared," he admitted. "You still did it," she said. "That's what matters." As they walked out together, Malik felt the sun on his face. Felt like freedom. Felt like the beginning. Summer came fast. The wind was warmer, the skies bluer, and Malik finally felt like he could breathe. He didn't have to wheel through those school halls with people pretending he didn't exist. For the first time in a long time, he felt calm. But peace didn't mean the fight was over. The story was still everywhere: news articles, podcasts, school newsletters. Activists and disability groups invited Malik and Imani to speak at events. Some people even suggested making a documentary about them. One day, Malik sat in the living room with Imani, scrolling through their inbox. "Look at this one," he said, showing her a message. "It's from a school in Chicago. They want us to do a Zoom talk." Imani grinned. "We're famous now." "Not famous," Malik said, smiling. "Just heard." They accepted the invite. That talk turned into 2. Then 4. Soon they were doing one every week. Imani spoke about courage. Malik talked about silence and how dangerous it could be. Their message was simple: protect the kids who can't fight back. Still, not everyone clapped. There were angry emails from parents who thought Imani set a bad example. Trolls online mocked Malik's voice, his chair, even his clothes. One post said, "If he can talk so much, maybe he doesn't need special treatment." Malik almost cried the night he read that. But Imani sat beside him, quiet and strong. "You want to know a secret?" she said. He nodded. "Every fighter hears boos before they hear cheers. You just keep swinging." He held on to that. Summer passed and school started again. Malik was nervous, but he returned, this time with new accommodations. A ramp at the front entrance. A wider desk. Teachers who actually listened when he raised his hand. The school hired 2 new aides to help monitor bullying. They introduced a club for students with disabilities, and Malik was asked to lead it. He said yes. The first meeting was small, just 4 kids. But it was powerful. They shared stories. Cried a little. Laughed more than Malik expected. A kid named Jonah, who stuttered and barely spoke in class, told them, "I used to think no one cared. Now I know someone does." That moment made everything worth it. Later that month, Principal Hartley resigned. The news said he left for personal reasons. But everyone knew it was because of the pressure. The school board promised to do better. They brought in a new principal, Ms. Nguyen, who had worked with students with disabilities her whole career. She called Malik into her office one day. "I read every word of your story," she said. "You remind me why I started teaching." He left her office with hope blooming in his chest. At home, life got brighter too. Their mom laughed more. She baked cookies again. Sometimes, she even danced around the kitchen while cooking. Malik liked those days the most. Imani got accepted into a local MMA training program that gave scholarships to teen girls. She trained 3 nights a week and sometimes showed Malik new moves in the backyard. "You sure you don't want to learn?" she teased. "I'm good," he laughed. but I'll cheer the loudest. Things weren't perfect. Malik still had pain in his legs. Some students still whispered when he passed. Some teachers forgot to offer him help until he asked twice. But he was stronger now, inside and out. One afternoon, Malik saw Zach sitting alone by the lockers. His head was low. His hands fidgeted. Malik thought about walking past. But he didn't. He rolled closer and said, "Hey!" Zach looked up, surprised. "Hey!" There was silence, heavy and thick. Then Malik said, "You still think I'm a trash chair?" Zach flinched. "No. I was stupid." Malik nodded. "Yeah, you were." Zach looked like he wanted to disappear. "I'm sorry, man. For real. I wish I could take it back." Malik didn't smile. He didn't say, "It's okay." He just said, "Then don't do it to anyone else." Zach nodded quickly. "I won't. I swear." Malik rolled away. That night, he told Imani what happened. "You forgave him?" she asked, surprised. "I didn't say that," Malik replied. "But I didn't hit him either." Imani laughed. "You're too nice." "Or just tired," he said. In the fall, Malik and Imani were invited to speak at a statewide youth conference. It was the biggest stage they'd ever stood on. Hundreds of kids from different schools, all watching. Before they went on, Malik's hands shook. Imani squeezed his shoulder. "You got this." He wheeled to the center of the stage, lights blinding his eyes. And he spoke. He told them how he used to be quiet. How he used to be ignored. How he thought no one would ever stand up for him. "But I was wrong," he said. "Because sometimes the right person shows up. And sometimes you become that person." The crowd clapped. Some stood. After the talk, a girl with braces and a cast on her arm came up to him. "My brother uses a wheelchair too," she said. "You're his hero now." Malik felt his eyes sting. "Tell him he's mine," he replied. More invitations came in after that. Schools, podcasts, even a children's book publisher reached out. They wanted Malik to help write a story based on his life, something other kids could read and feel seen. Imani called it Malik the Mighty. He rolled his eyes. "That's too much." She grinned. "You're the one who went viral." Eventually, the lawsuit officially settled. The check arrived one sunny morning. It was large enough to change their lives. Their mom cried as she held it. But Malik and Imani didn't buy expensive things. They used some to fix the house, some to create a scholarship for disabled students, and some to fund a new nonprofit they started called Voices Unseen. Their goal, to help kids speak up and be heard. Malik became its first director. Imani became its first mentor. Together, they visited schools across the state, taught kids how to build courage, taught teachers how to recognize pain, taught parents how to listen better. Their story kept growing, but it didn't belong to them anymore. It belonged to every quiet kid, every outcast, every kid who thought no one would ever protect them. Malik still had nightmares sometimes. He still remembered the cold floor, Zach's laughter, the sound of Imani's fists. But those memories didn't own him. He owned them now. One evening, he sat in the backyard, watching the sun set in streaks of orange and pink. Imani plopped down beside him, sweaty from training. "Think we made a difference?" she asked. Malik smiled. "I think we made a start." She leaned back and looked at the sky. "Good," she whispered. "Because I don't ever want to go back to silence." Malik nodded. Silence had once been his prison. Now his voice was a key. And he wasn't going to stop speaking. Not until every school hallway was safe. Not until every voice was heard. Not until no kid ever had to face what he did alone. Moral of the story. This story teaches us that silence in the face of cruelty is dangerous, but courage can break it. No matter how small or different you feel, your voice matters. Standing up for yourself or for someone else, even when it's hard, can change everything. Love, loyalty, and justice can overcome fear, pain, and hate. And most importantly, disability is not weakness. It is strength in another form. Thank you so much for reading A Disabled Black Boy Attacked by Bullies. Few minutes later, they're crying on the floor. This story was written with heart, with hope, and for every child who has ever felt invisible. Thank you for believing in stories that heal, inspire, and spark change. Keep standing up, speaking out, and never forget you have the power to make the world a kinder, braver place.